Sit still. Stop fidgeting. Just concentrate. But what teachers seem to forget is that in this restless state, both innovation and creativity flourishes. And personally, I've never understood why restlessness gets such a bad rap. Because for me, when channeled correctly, restlessness has always been a massively positive force in my life. And for me, without restlessness, I would never have been woken up to the sound of a truck reversing down my back lane to deliver 5 tons of fruit and veg to our back garden. How did I get to a state where, my garden was filled to the brim with fresh produce? Before I talk about my not-for-profit initiative, I must first pay credit to some of the decisions and experiences that acted as the foundations from which Good Grub was built upon. Now, the first experience and arguably the most pivotal decision that was made in my family's history came in 1995, when my recently married parents made the decision to move back home from London to Dublin, leaving 2 well-paying corporate jobs after learning that their firstborn child, my older brother Charlie, was going to be born with Down syndrome. Now, at the time, no one could have imagined how much of an impact this seemingly insignificant decision was going to make. And certainly none of us could have anticipated the amount of energy and power that Charlie was going to be able to command by his simple existence and channel our restless energy for years and years to come. So between that day in 1995 to 2009, both myself and my younger brother Luke were born. My parents started and continually run a tourism business. Charlie finished primary education and was getting set to represent Ireland in the Special Olympic Winter Games. At this stage, Charlie's 13 years old, and he's given us an insight into some of the truly amazing services that are out there being run by genuinely inspiring people who are providing these vital services for children and adults with intellectual disabilities and those people's families. Now, despite this period of time being considered some of the most economically successful in Irish history, the roar of the Celtic Tiger didn't extend to those most desperately needed services. So my parents were then put in this tricky position where they could either bury their head in the sand and complain about these services that are being under-resourced and, not providing the quality of care that they should be because they don't have the resources to do so. Or they could accept those services, say that's just life, send Charlie into them knowing full well that it wasn't exactly what he deserved and what others deserved as well. Instead of either of these two options, they chose to innovate, and through restlessness, they innovated and created a new concept called Difference Days, which is a social enterprise that marries companies seeking team bonding and CSR events, because at this time, spending large sums of money on team bonding was seen as frivolous and a waste. So it marries these companies with the services that are in desperate need of repair and resources. So it's these retirement homes, community centres, and disadvantaged schools receive a 24-hour makeover at the hands of these companies that have employed the services of Difference Days. Now, it's from the experiences similar to those that I've mentioned, such as Charlie going through the same education as me, and then the challenges that he began to face and the doors that he opened up to whole different worlds of under-resourced areas in our community, as well as those experiences that we've felt from Difference Days, giving an insight into, again, more under-resourced areas within our community that were the bedrock from which Good Grub was built upon. And what Good Grub is, it's a not-for-profit initiative designed to be delivering fresh fruit and vegetable packs to families struggling particularly badly due to COVID-19. And with most good things in my life, it came out of a sense of restlessness. One March evening, my family were together at dinner, something that was becoming, increasingly rare with everyone having their own busy lives. We recalled some of the new figures that were coming out, all the new cases, the death tolls, and there was just this air of doom and gloom that was hovering over us all. We had this overriding feeling of helplessness, but knowing that there were so many more people who were struggling so much greater than we were, and knowing that we didn't feel like we had any way to help. So what usually happens in my dinner conversations, it progressed and, started to take shape of the Dragon's Den versus the Brady Bunch, as we were throwing out ideas and criticizing to try and come up with a concept that might be able to provide tangible help to people who really needed it. We reached out to a couple of principals in some disadvantaged schools to understand where the needs were greatest. And what we learned from those first few phone calls was that these children often receive as many as 3 meals a day provided by the government through their schools. So that's Monday through Friday, 3 meals a day, 15 meals that these children can count on that will be there. Now, because of the global pandemic, this service was massively reduced to just one box of dry goods a week to the value of only €10. Now, if I was to ask you, how much do you spend on your weekly grocery bill? I can be pretty certain it's more than €10. With this new knowledge, we decided that providing nutrition and fresh produce should be of paramount importance, and we made it a priority of what we were going to achieve. So we contacted Begley's fruit distributors, who kindly donated 5 tons of produce, which is when that lorry was backing up to our back garden that fabled March morning. And much to our surprise, we had no idea what 5 ton looked like. And then to be hit with the fact that the lift was broken and we had to, hand pass all the different produce into wheelbarrows and run them back and forth, we got a very quick realization of exactly what 5 ton of produce looks like. So feeling overwhelmed and in over our heads, we decided, we'd just kind of get on, start packing, formed an assembly line, and worked our way through this mountain of produce. We then roped in some very helpful neighbors to help us deliver these first packages. From that first day that would be known as Good Grub's birth, we delivered 1,000 packages to families all across Dublin. But from that very first day, we learned that the need was so much greater than we could have ever anticipated, and that our simple production facility really wasn't going to be able to meet the mark. We knew that we needed to partner with a company that had the ability to meet this demand. So we came across Glamour, that in a non-COVID time are providing school lunches as many as 50,000 a day. So we knew that they had the ability to scale and go with us as we saw the demand grow. This allowed us to then, shift our focus onto fundraising and creating awareness for our initiative. We then formed an advisory group to provide help to areas that were unfamiliar to us. And let me tell you, there was plenty of areas that we didn't have a clue about. We got a website going and started a GoFundMe page. And the very first goal that we set for that was €100,000. We thought it was definitely out of reach, but a good goal to set. And, if we got thereabouts, it'd be considered a job well done. Within the first 4 or 5 days of going live, we reached and surpassed this target. Feeling the generosity that was out there at the time and this atmosphere of giving, we decided that we'd increase our goal, this time to 250,000. Now, for sure, this time, way too high, way too optimistic, no way we'd reach it. But again, thankfully, we were proven wrong, and this too was reached and surpassed. Now, it was just simply amazing to see what can be done when a group of people with a similar restless drive working towards one common goal can achieve. And what we managed to accomplish was we raised more than €500,000, which translates to the successful delivery of 90,000 fruit and vegetable packs to 5,000 families all across Ireland. Now, I'm not looking for credit or applause, because in good conscience, I can't say that our collective restless energy would have been channeled to such a positive outcome if it wasn't for Charlie. Charlie was the one who opened up our eyes to these under-resourced areas, and it's thanks to him that that's where our energy was taken. But what I do know for sure is that when restlessness is encouraged and explored, instead of being discouraged and treated as a waste of energy, truly powerful things can happen.